shit, what's up? I'm happy you follow me. I mix the love with drugs. I can't get enough codeine in the artery.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If you sit there and dox people all day, you're a bigger loser than these Discord mods because you're taking time out of your day to sit here and just ruin somebody else's life completely. That's just not. No.
Might just be the worst thing to have ever happened in internet.
Right.
Reddit moderators.
Okay.
Reddit moderators are destroying the entire internet.
Tragic
in fact,
tale of
Reddit
Reddit.
moderators might just be the worst thing to have ever happened in internet history.
How?
And by the end of this video, I promise you that
Yo, I'm not gonna lie.
me. You know, a Reddit moderator is a lot like a teacher's pet at school. The teacher's pet was that guy we all knew who felt superior to the rest.
Yeah.
The guy who'd boss everyone around. The guy who'd tattle on everyone for breaking insignificant rules. You could almost smell their power trip.
Check your
But
phone.
what if this guy could boss around millions?
If I look at my phone and I see on TikTok, why are you influencing my TikTok shop? Numbing spray, cotton candy, oral care product. Deep throat A. This is all you. You do this. We know what you do on your TikTok. When we listen to College Dropout? In a little bit. In a little bit.
In the most petty ways imaginable.
After
well, that's where
I
Reddit
gotta
moderators
get a
come.
couple thumbnails.
Reddit moderators moderate Reddit for free, with their only compensation
Wait,
being
they do this stuff for free?
the illusion of authority. These powerless and deeply troubled people look to exert power in any way they can.
Ooh, your account's only a year.
Couple more vids? Probably. My camera exposure is down, you idiot. Dang, hold on. That's Mike. Yeah, he is an actual dumbtard. Look at camera control exposure. Do you want me to turn it far, far down? Because dumbtard's like one of the best words I've ever created. Right next to Nimrod.
You're old. You only had one cake day. You can't post here.
They're the same types of people who become abusive
What the heck?
police officers. But instead of policing crime, Reddit mods policed language. In
For free, by the way.
2020, Reddit mods policed language so badly that they ended up deleting 6% of all Reddit posts. And this is because 6 power-hungry mods are now in control of 92 of the top 500 subreddits. So then the real
6? Isn't the Reddit's number like... Wait a minute. We know... Wait, are my emotes loaded yet? Did my emotes get verified? No, they didn't. I'm still waiting on the Twitch verification for my emails.
question is, who are these anonymous moderators policing the internet? Why would anyone moderate thousands of subreddits and millions of posts for free?
So there's like... He said, how many people moderate 6 power mods control 100... Wait, what Reddits? r/gaming, r/all, r/movies, r/shower thoughts, r/black people Twitter, r/animals being jerks, I think I screwed my dad jokes. Okay, actually, these subreddits aren't that bad. Facepalm, oddly satisfying, unexpected.
Of the top 500 subreddits. So then the real question.
Oh, well, there's 2 different Twitters out
anonymous
there.
moderators policing the internet. Why would anyone moderate thousands
black
of
and white.
subreddits and millions of posts for free? And most important of all,
Yeah,
how
why
did
do they do this for
92
free? I need
of
to
the
lower
top
my exposure.
500 subreddits fall into the hands of 6 power-hungry mods? Well, the answer to these questions goes a lot deeper than I initially expected, because to understand the Reddit mod, you need to understand Reddit. You need to understand where it all went wrong.
Why do
because
they do this
somewhere,
stuff for
somehow,
free?
Reddit turned into everything it swore to destroy. Reddit never used to promote tyranny and censorship. Reddit never deleted 6% of all posts. In fact, Reddit used to be a platform for tolerance and free speech. So what on earth happened? Well, this is the real story of the rise and fall of Reddit.
Triangle. Triangle's the true story of Reddit. Okay.
The story begins in the dorm rooms of the University of Virginia. Co-founder of Reddit, Steve Huffman, otherwise known as Spez, was your typical nerdy character. He was that Zuckerberg type,
Holy crap,
geeky,
he's
computery
big.
smart, and power hungry.
Oh my
And
God.
unbeknownst to him, Spez's perfect match
Is that
was just across the
Mark
dorm.
Zuckerberg?
Alexis and I met in college.
Holy
We were
crap! I
Unbeknownst to him, Spez
Mark
is that
Zuckerberg him.
Zuckerberg type,
Oh my
geeky,
God!
computery smart, and power hungry.
Holy crap! Look at that build. Oh my God, he's thick.
And unbeknownst to him, Spez's perfect match was just across the dorm.
So Alexis and I met in college. We were hallmates first year. He lived right across the hall from me.
He was disappointed because he thought I was a girl.
I was like, oh, Alexis and Mike live across the hall. It must be like a co-ed dorm. That's cool.
It wouldn't take long for Spez to realize Alexis was really just the charming version of himself, and over the following years, Alexis and Spez would become close friends.
Oh, so one was
Their friendship
antisocial, the other
strengthened by
one
their
was a
passion
cool
for
guy.
computing. In order to monetize this passion, they would come up with their first idea for a startup, My Mobile Menu.
And one of the ideas I had was for ordering food from your cell phone. I had told
Oh,
Alexis
DoorDash.
this idea once. He's like, we should totally build that.
However, the idea was simply too far ahead of its time. After the pitch failed to gain enough financial support, the two would begin working on a new idea. During this time, internet culture was in its infancy. Internet memes were only just beginning to crop up here and there, and Spez and Alexis caught on to this.
It's
They
just
could
a
tell
horrible
that internet
community.
culture wasn't going anywhere soon.
Not even
It was clear
everyone.
that if Spez and Alexis could figure out a way to centralize internet culture, millions were to be made. And so Spez
Holy
and
crap,
Alexis
that's
set out
Gatsby.
to do just that. Their idea was to create a site that would be the front page of the internet. This would later become the adopted slogan of the website, but for now, the slogan was initially called SNU. The intention behind SNU was for people to ask what's new, although it wouldn't take long for them to realize the domain name was already taken. So a few other domain ideas were considered.
took the name
Boobaloo,
Stew?
360 Scope, Hot SNU, Ripe Fresh, Dose, and numerous others. But eventually, the name Reddit was suggested by Alexa.
Oh my God, Reddit. Like, yeah, I read it. Wait, did you see that on Reddit? And you'd be like, yeah, I read it. That's actually tough.
And much like SNU, Reddit was a mix of the words Reddit, as in I read it on Reddit. After receiving funding from angel investors,
Holy
Reddit
crap,
was released
that's actually
on
a fire
23rd
name.
of June 2005.
Who created the name Reddit?
Over the following months, both
Wait, when was it
Alexis
created?
and Spez created of June to Reddit. After receiving
2005?
funding from angel investors, Reddit was released on
What
the
other
23rd
bad
of
things
June
happened in 2005?
Over the following months, both Alexis and Spez created numerous fake
ring light
accounts
just
in order
off
to
or something?
jumpstart the
Holy
website,
crap.
spamming the site with interesting links in order to give any unsuspecting visitors the illusion
not
of
even
a thriving
off.
online community.
Alexis and I started submitting all the content just to keep the thing full, right? Because Reddit's no fun if the page is blank.
We would come up with a post and a random username to give the impression that the site had more people on it.
The Reddit team would expand not long after, and in November 2005, Reddit merged with competitor site Infogamy. The merging of
Infogamy.
Infogamy and Reddit would bring Reddit a new co-founder, a co-founder named Aaron Swartz. This was a pivotal moment for Reddit. Aaron Swartz becoming co-founder was the final piece of the jigsaw for Reddit's success. You see, Aaron was a computing
Infogamy.
prodigy. By the age of 13, Aaron had already created the site Info Network, a site serving as a user-generated encyclopedia. So it would seem that Aaron was the perfect guy to
Oh,
serve
he
as
created
Reddit
Wikipedia.
co-founder, and this was true. Because in the months following the merger, Reddit's popularity began to skyrocket. Although a few months into Aaron's arrival, things started to get rocky. This was because Aaron's view of the world differed greatly to Spez's. Aaron viewed the internet as a tool to hold governments and corporations accountable. He thought the internet could be the ultimate tool for free speech, where anyone, anywhere could express their opinions freely. Aaron thought that information needs to be free, open,
O
and
slur. What
unregulated.
is the O slur?
Although the same thing couldn't be said for Spez. Spez viewed the
Saying
internet
Aaron.
as an opportunity for business. This was the dividing line between Aaron and Spez. And in a way, it was this divide that would shape the internet
Oh.
as we know today.
No, it doesn't. You're just hearing things.
2005
the
was a
golden
revolutionary
years.
year. Facebook had just been released, YouTube was brand new, and Reddit was being spammed with Spez's links. In 2005, the internet was still seen as something nerdy. This was a time 2 years before the release of the first iPhone.
And we are calling it iPhone.
Anything could happen.
They
Aaron
laughed at him
Swartz
when he
wanted to
said
steer the internet
iPhone?
into being an electronic libertarian utopia, a world free from government regulation and corporate corruption. He wanted the internet to be a land of pure democracy, where each and every person had an equal say in the world, where real world leaders would be scrutinized in real
Isn't
time.
the owner
where
of the-
elites would be
or the
forced
CEO of
into
Apple
open
gay?
transparency. The internet offered an opportunity for ordinary people who weren't part of the power structure to take back power to themselves. And Aaron saw
I read
Reddit
that
as a
somewhere.
beacon of these principles, a hub for ordinary
Maybe he has a
free
wife, I
thinkers.
forget.
However, Aaron's view of the internet would be confronted by the other side, by the other tech giants who wanted their platforms to become the titans of the digital age. The
No, I
side
didn't
that
read it
wanted
on
to
Reddit.
consolidate
I
and
read
control
it
massive
in a
percentages of
textbook or something. Tim Cook is gay. Tim Cook, husband. Reddit. Dang.
internet traffic and the money that comes with it. Pioneers of the internet like Zuck wanted a small group of companies to
Holy
decide what
thick.
you can and can't say, and a small group of moderators to follow their orders. But Aaron hated these ideas. Aaron hated the corporate world and was motivated to do everything he could for free speech. And at the time, Aaron wasn't alone. In fact, co-founder Alexis could also see the importance of free speech. To Alexis, free speech
I can
was
agree.
a right that must
W
be
coming
protected.
out.
This
What
is
are
why
you
Alexis
talking about?
actually joined
Mark
Aaron in
Zuckerberg
his
had a
campaign against
thick
Congress's
body, he
Stop
was
Online
T.
Piracy Act. Alexis
Still
even went so
is. Mark
far as to
Zuckerberg
launch a
actually-
national anti-soap
Why is he
protest.
Mog now?
This is because
Why is Mark
that's
Zuckerberg
much
hot?
bigger than just-
Who said Mark Zuckerberg is allowed to be hot? Okay? Look at him. Who said Mark Zuckerberg was allowed to be hot? Okay. Why is he getting like tapers, cuts, and everything? Is he built like a hot dog? He's not even built like a hot dog. What the heck? I didn't know he had muscle. I thought he was built like a loser.
saving the
Oh, shoot.
internet now.
I
This
do
is a
remember
fight
that.
To save democracy. It is a fight to show.
Yo, I'm gonna ban links in my
that
chat
elected
for mods and
officials
everything.
Are beholden to the electorate,
I got a pimple up on my
not
lip.
to lobbyists.
This was a period where a large proportion of tech giants actively defended the principles of free speech. And in this time, Reddit was a
Yeah, now they
hub
try
for
to, like,
somewhat
restrict it or
serious
whatever.
interesting discussion. It was diverse, but not stupid. But all of this would quickly
Is it a
change in
plug?
the years to discussion. It was diverse, but not stupid.
Or a shovel.
But all of this would quickly change in the years to come. By late 2006, Reddit was taking off. The combination of Spez, Alexis, and Aaron would prove to be a hugely successful business move.
Why is
and
Spez
people
dark
would
red?
notice
Why
it.
is Spez
In
evil?
October 2006, Reddit was sold
fucking dark, like dark brown, dark. My butthole used to be so fucking dark, like
Bro. How did he manage that?
Yeah, moving bills, nigga, yeah, moving bricks. Fucking honest, God.
What is this? I already watched all of these episodes.
to Condé Nast
Yo, where are my keys?
Publications. Condé Nast Publications is a massive
No, I'm not watching
known for being
those.
the
No.
only worldwide magazine.
No, I don't
At the
care. I'm
time,
not
Reddit
watching
sold
leaked
for a
videos.
reported $10 to $20 million.
No, I don't
With the
care.
acquisition of Reddit, the team moved off to San Francisco. But for Aaron Schwartz, this was where things would start to go downhill. In the month after the acquisition, Aaron began to complain about the corporate influence over Reddit. Aaron claimed, Wired has tried to make the offices look exciting.
I don't care!
Was pink, but the grey office monotony sneaks through all the same. Grey walls, grey
Why the
desks,
freak
grey
am I
noise.
not
The
visible?
first day I showed up here, I simply couldn't take it. By lunchtime, I'd literally locked myself in a bathroom stall and started crying.
The
Aaron's
freak!
thoughts on Reddit's takeover, along with a burning belief in free speech, meant the inevitable would happen. Aaron Schwartz was fired from Reddit in January 2007.
He became
And
a
by the year
Reddit mod.
2009, the co-founders would all go their own separate ways and begin their new lives. Aaron used the money from Reddit and his knowledge on computing to embark on political
Yeah, I'm
action.
about to ban you.
On September the 25th, 2010, Aaron downloaded
I'm not watching
the
them.
whole Westlaw legal
I have
database
too many
project with
videos
Stanford
planned.
law students. The goal was to uncover the connections between the funders of legal research and the legal system itself. What Aaron found was
Your
incredibly
own mod, by the way.
disturbing.
Yeah.
Aaron discovered that law professors in Stanford
Kind of a
were
mod.
receiving lobbying money from companies like
He makes some
Exxon
titles.
Mobil during oil spills, as this served as an effective route to bail themselves out of legal troubles. Aaron never released the documents, but it was
He makes some pretty
reported
good
that
titles.
Aaron was going to analyze the data. for
But I like
evidence
my
of
title
corporate
today, so
funding of
please don't
biological
change it,
research that led
actually.
to biased results. Following these actions,
Let me just-
the FBI would begin to track Aaron's activity. Unaware he was being investigated, Aaron continued campaigning for free speech and political transparency.
No.
And so, yeah, it's true. Sites like WikiLeaks are going to be putting up some embarrassing material about what the U.S. government does, and people are going to be organizing to protest about it and try and change.
I've already seen this video.
You know, and that's
I'm
a good
following
thing.
this guy
That's
on
what all
TikTok
these
and
First
on
Amendment
YouTube and
rights
on my
of
main
free
account.
expression, of freedom of association are all about. And so the notion that we should try and shut those down, I think, just goes against
I also
the very
watched him
basis
cook a
of our
chicken just by
democracy.
slapping it.
Principle,
Or is
I
that a
think,
different
one
guy?
that our founding fathers
That
would
might
have
have been.
understood. If the internet had been around back then, instead of putting post offices in the Constitution, they would have put ISPs.
Well, it's definitely.
Is it safe?
Aaron would travel across the US, giving live
I don't understand
talks
how
on
this
the
guy's still
importance of a
alive.
free and
He's
open
making
internet.
everything.
It was through this work that Aaron was able to gain enough support to prevent the Stop Online Piracy Act.
This bill would be a huge, potentially permanent loss. If we lost the ability to communicate with each other over the internet, it would be a change to the Bill of Rights, the freedoms guaranteed in our Constitution, the freedoms our country had been built on, would be suddenly deleted. New technology, instead of bringing us greater freedom, would have snuffed out fundamental rights we'd always taken for granted. And I realized that day, talking to Peter.
Hey, Peter.
This video is sponsored by Opera. So hear me out. Typical microwave oven is about 1,000 watts. Well,
That I couldn't let that happen.
3 months after the speech, Aaron was arrested following an indictment by federal prosecutors. Aaron's indictment contained
millionaire
charges
getting
of 50
arrested?
years in prison and a $1 million fine. However,
What did he
these
do?
charges were harsh for a reason. In 2012, the US government wanted to make an example of people breaking into confidential files. And with the US government's failure to extradite Julian Assange, Aaron Swartz knew he was going to face the brunt of government power. There was no way the government was letting another WikiLeaks situation happen again. Aaron knew things were bad. Very, very bad. 26-year-old Aaron Swartz was facing the prospect
So what does this have to do with
his life in a cage. Aaron had been cornered into a trap.
Reddit
And
becoming
after
like
5
a
months of his arrest, Aaron Swartz
thingamajig?
committed suicide.
What?
Aaron's death marked the end of an era. Up until now, the internet had always been free of censorship. Censorship was only really used for legal purposes to keep the internet somewhat civilized, and Reddit moderators did as they were meant to, filtering out spam, abuse, and managing small online communities. But all of this would change in 2014. You see, in the years after the co-founders left Reddit, Reddit was undergoing huge development. Reddit had tripled its page views, and in 2011, Reddit had gained 1 billion page views a month. Then in January 2012, Reddit doubled its page views again.
Oh shoot, I was
gaining
barely
2
even
billion views
alive.
a month. There was no stop in sight, and by
2
2013,
billion or
Reddit was
million?
receiving 56
Oh my God!
billion page views and
Why are there
71
these
billion
stupid
page
little
views
gnats in my
2014.
room?
However, in 2014, Reddit took a turn for the worst. A turn that would make Reddit the model for the internet censorship we see today. Because before 2014, Reddit was getting a lot of scrutiny in the media. At the start, this was mainly about the jailbait subreddit, a subreddit which featured inappropriate and illegal photos of young girls. So Reddit responded to these rightly and removed the subreddit from the platform. But this
Did they arrest everybody in the subreddit?
And for the next year, Reddit would be slandered for being a sexist platform. For example, the Huffington Post claimed that Reddit was sexist purely for being a male-dominated site. The claims of Reddit being sexist got so bad that co-founder Alexis pleaded Reddit users to, quote, cool it with the sexist comments.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Alexis also claimed that Reddit is defined by, quote,
does
straight
that even
white
mean?
men. The Atlantic and other magazines picked up on this, adding to the belief that Reddit was a place for sexist and straight white men. This scared Reddit stockholders and advertisers alike, which is why Reddit would suddenly undergo a radical change. The first steps towards Reddit's change would come with Ellen Powell's appointment as CEO of Reddit. In the lead up to Powell being CEO, Powell had gained notoriety in Silicon Valley, most famously for her gender discrimination
No, I've never
lawsuit,
heard that.
where she sued the venture capital firm Kleiner Perkins for what she perceived to be sexist business practices. And whilst the lawsuit was unsuccessful, the media rallied behind her as a feminist saint. She was the perfect shield for Reddit.
I should watch
Reddit
that movie. I
employed
haven't
her
seen
as
that
CEO
movie
of the company in
ever.
2014. This was the moment Reddit changed for the worst. Alan Powell's rise to CEO created a new era of Reddit, an era Aaron Swartz had spent his life warning against, an era defined by power mod, censorship, and propaganda. And it all began with Ellen Powell's announcement that Reddit was no longer a platform for free speech. The announcement came after numerous subreddits were banned by Reddit. This time it wasn't for legal reasons.
Hang
It was
them!
to escape the bad reputation Reddit was gaining from the consequences of free speech. A complete U-turn of Reddit's original policy stated by admins just 2 months beforehand, Reddit admins actually created a blog titled "Every Man is Responsible for His
Wait, how
Own
much
Soul."
caffeine have I
In the
had
blog
today?
post, Reddit admins repeatedly claimed the importance of free speech on Reddit. This is a quote from Reddit admins. "We uphold the ideal of free speech on Reddit as much as possible, not because we are legally bound to, but because we believe the user,
not
has the right
everybody
to choose
deserves
between
free
right and
speech.
wrong, good and evil, and that it is your responsibility to do so.
You cannot put all
When
your
know
faith in
something
an
is
idiot.
Right, you should choose to do it. But as much as possible,
I don't think everybody deserves freedom of speech. There are
will
some
not
people who
force
just
you to
don't
do it.
deserve to like do
However,
anything.
these claims were just as hollow as Reddit's moderator guidelines. And when I talk about Reddit's moderator guidelines, this is what I mean. So basically, for Ellen Power to increase Reddit's censorship, Reddit would need power mods to handle the dirty work. And so in October 2014, the first major power mod was born, a mod known as GallowBoob. GallowBoob is the digital representation of Reddit's new era. GallowBoob is a mod with over 36 million karma. He's termed a power mod for his vast control of the top subreddits, controlling huge subreddits like r oddly satisfying, r relationship advice, and r roast me. He's a power mod notorious for blocking
Is that what he
comments
actually looks
critical
like?
of him. And not only comments, it got so bad that a subreddit calling out GallowBoob's power-hungry censorship was also banned.
What the heck? Oh, it's Boom? Uh-oh. That's what he looks like? This is not a... What the heck? It's GallowBoob. This is not what I expected him to look like. I thought he was going to be a fat, ugly loser.
Banned from Reddit. This was the new era of Reddit, where those criticizing the power structure would be threatened with banishment. In the words of Ellen Powell, Reddit was no longer a bastion of free speech. But again, in 2014, this was just the
So
tip
how
of the
does this,
iceberg.
like,
You see, in theory, Reddit's
mods
moderator
equal low
guidelines require
testosterone?
volunteers not to use a breach of one set of community rules to ban a user from another community, because these guidelines were created in a time when internet censorship was looked down upon. But this was a new era. An era when even more power mods would begin to emerge, like the infamous moderator Awkward the Turtle. Awkward the Turtle is in control of 2,572 subreddits, and like GallowBoob, he's a mod notorious for silencing opinions he doesn't like. And unfortunately, these occurrences aren't anomalies either. Moderator tyranny in the last few years has gotten to an all-time high, with this model of censorship spreading across the internet like wildfire. But for now, in 2014, power mods were only just beginning to rear their ugly head. The most hated person on Reddit wasn't GallowBoob or Awkward the Turtle.
Awkward the Turtle. What does Awkward the Turtle look like? How you spell that? AWKWARD. Okay. That kind of adds up. Jeez.
So the real hatred.
Why did he
was
get
for the
banned,
CEO, Ellen Powell. Reddit at the time still cared about free speech and internet censorship, because these ideas were at the core of Reddit, and with Ellen Powell's statements and actions, Redditors disliked her deeply. The watershed moment for this hatred came when former community manager David Croce gave an Ask Me Anything about being fired from Reddit. David Croce stated that Ellen Powell dismissed him with 1 year of health coverage when he had cancer. As a result of this, a petition was
They don't
made
even
to
get
remove
paid
Powell
either.
as CEO of Reddit. And so on July the 10th, Ellen Powell resigned as CEO. But maybe
My ear
Ellen Powell
itches.
was just the instrument and not the musician, because Ellen Powell wasn't anywhere near as authoritarian as the person who would replace her. Spez.
That's what I'm saying. Like AI from that long ago.
Spez's reign as CEO brought about the most change to Reddit, and as you could guess, this change wasn't good. Far from it. This quickly became obvious when Spez decided to scrub Aaron Schwartz's legacy on Reddit. Spez removed Aaron's position on Reddit's co-founder page and began scrubbing posts heralding Aaron Schwartz's legacy. This was a move that would define Reddit's new position.
Okay,
on
this
free
dude does
speech.
not like.
Next, Spez would introduce the quarantine, which was an effective tool to silence communities that didn't break any rules.
This dude does
Spez
not
produced the
like
quarantine
freedom of
to
speech.
discredit content that Spez didn't like. And when I say
Which-
Spez would censor content that he didn't personally like, I mean it was content that Spez personally didn't like. Infamously, Spez went into Reddit's database to alter and change comments he didn't like to distort posts in the R. Donald subreddit. Of
What are you
course, those in the
talking about?
Donald
Like, we were
subreddit
actually
didn't
able
think
to
too cunningly
think.
move, so the Donald called out Spez's
I
direct
saw
censorship
this.
and manipulation of speech, and even created a subreddit dedicated to criticizing Spez. But to Spez, this was outrageous. How dare users enact their revenge? And so
there's a
once
fly
again,
on my wall.
Spez used his position as CEO Spez used his position as CEO to modify comments attacking him, changing these comments to instead criticize our Donald mods rather than himself. But Spez couldn't do all of this on his own.
How do flies move so
Reddit
quick?
Moderators would become notorious.
This was recent? This was not recent. This video was 4 years ago. How do flies move so fast? Oh, they have a spidey sense. Oh. The video was 4 years ago, buddy.
As I mentioned earlier, Reddit's decline was catalyzed by the combination.
Hold on, bro. I gotta go
of
itch my ear. I'll be right back.
7777777777777777777777777777777777777777777777777777777777777777777777777.
What am I listening to? Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I low-key thought every single Reddit mod was just some fat, disgusting, ugly loser. Pretty much right,
on
though.
this new Reddit, it became common practice for political opinions to be banned from the site. And it wasn't just Spez editing comments, it was Reddit moderators exerting their power over all those who disagree with the status quo. Which is why saying things like this would get you removed. Because Reddit power mods love that sweet sensation of bossing people around in the most minor ways imaginable.
Shoot,
and
don't
I
give
could
me
go
power.
on and on about the countless examples of moderator tyranny, but I think it can all be perfectly summed up with this post right here. And just guess what happened to this post. It was of course removed by Reddit moderators. And not only that, the user who posted it was banned from over 40 major subreddits in 40 minutes.
And you're banned. You can no
What the
longer
heck?
post on wholesome puppers.
So then you may be asking, how did these
How do you
mods
ban
gain so
people
much
so
power?
quick?
Why was Aaron Schwartz scrubbed from Reddit history? Why did Spez actively work to stifle the free speech of Reddit users? I mentioned earlier that these Reddit mods are like teachers' pets, with their only compensation being power. But this isn't the full
How do you
story.
ban people that
You see,
fast?
in order to run hundreds and thousands of subreddits, it takes a ridiculous amount of time that just isn't available to you if you're working or being a normal human being in society. Unless you're being paid for this time.
They
Power
do
mod
get
Gallo,
paid?
for example, has been caught several times taking money from companies to shill their products on Reddit. One of these cases was with Gallo Boob advertising for Netflix on the subreddit Hail Corporate. When people on the subreddit began to call him out on it, he would remove every single critical comment. The Gallo Boobs of Reddit are like the Cambridge Analytica for corporations. These mods have influence over millions and unrivaled power on the website. The trade-off being they do the dirty work for Reddit admins, and in return, Reddit turns a blind eye to their profiteering from advertising products. And this wasn't the only thing Reddit turned a blind eye to. I mentioned in my last video on Reddit that Reddit was being manipulated by big finance. I detailed in the video how corporations use Reddit as a tool for propaganda. But it's not only corporate propaganda, in fact Reddit has become the engine for the political censorship we see today. The most clear sign of this came with Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016, which used our politics to promote articles favourable to Hillary. And every time Redditors brought up the fact that Hillary Clinton received more money from the arms and weapons industry than any other candidate in history, these posts would be downvoted into oblivion. That's why you see posts criticising Black Lives Matter being banned, whereas pro-Black Lives Matter posts gain thousands of karma. It's why showing just some of the damage done by Black Lives Matter to ordinary people is removed. It's why just upvoting some posts on the site will get you banished from Reddit. It's why Reddit turns a blind eye to moderator abuse to keep the Reddit status quo in check.
They
All
shadow
to keep
ban
corporations and political interest groups happy. But
and
nothing
just
could
mute
define
people's
Reddit's era of censorship
freedom of
any
speech.
better than Reddit's submission to the Chinese government.
What? So you're telling me that
In
the leader of
2019,
China and I have been doing to the same
was the
Reddit
final piece of the jigsaw in Reddit's censorship model.
for 6
I say
months
this
straight?
because Tencent is run by the biggest censors of all,
No breaks.
the Chinese government. The Dutch hacker
Seven
Victor
seven
confirmed
seven
this by
seven
revealing
seven
millions of
seven seven
conversations
seven
using
seven
identities
seven
on
seven
Tencent
seven 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 seven.
You good now?
sent to police stations across China. And just 3 days after this was revealed, the Tencent founder and chief executive had a seat in the National People's
7.
Congress. And in recent years, Tencent's activity has become more and more apparent. For example, Tencent has a 38% share in Discord, a 17% share in Snapchat, and it also has investments in game studios like Ubisoft,
You said
Activision,
Discord?
and a 40% share in Epic Games. And in 2019, Tencent invested $150 million into Reddit.
Now, Reddit users are afraid that their beloved platform, known for uncensored free speech, is going to get censored to meet the demands of the Chinese Communist Party. See, Tencent has
So what
a
does this have to do with them
history of
having low
censoring
testosterone?
things the CCP doesn't like. Its Chinese platforms QQ and WeChat are both heavily censored, and they work with Chinese authorities to give them access to user data. Amnesty International did a report back in 2016 on tech companies protecting users against threats to privacy.
Please tell me
and
what
freedom
this
of
has to do with
expression.
Discord mods and low
Results?
testosterone.
Not so good for Tencent. Chinese firm Tencent came bottom, the report reads, scoring 0 out of 100, ranked as the company taking least action on messaging privacy and the least transparent.
Spez always claimed that Reddit would never remove content to appease Chinese investors. In fact, he even committed to never doing so. But as always the case, money speaks. Which is why viral posts stating that we need to start taking actions to stop China taking over the world would be removed.
7.
Pictures reminding people of the persecution of Uyghur Muslims would be scrubbed from mainstream subreddits. And of course, the famous pictures remembering the atrocities of Tiananmen Square are banned without any justification. Which is why on Reddit, anti-Western posts and comments are allowed, but criticizing Xi Jinping and the CCP? That's unacceptable. Or even criticizing LeBron James's sellout to China gets your posts removed from Reddit. It's very clear that Reddit has irreversibly changed. Long gone are the days of Reddit being a pioneer of free speech. The days of Aaron Swartz's values being at the core of Reddit have been replaced by the values of power-hungry moderators, corporations, and Chinese propaganda. But what if Reddit's fall isn't just endemic to Reddit? Reddit has been the catalyst for a wave of censorship across the internet. The model of power-hungry moderators, out-of-control tech leaders like Spares, and political propaganda is a model adopted by almost all social media
You already
sites.
know though.
Since
You only live in one
2016, the Chinese Communist Party
We
paid
about this
$20
every day.
million
Every day.
to outlets like the Los Angeles Times, the Chicago Tribune, and the Washington Post. Twitter, which now operates as a publisher, also received checks from the Chinese government totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Social media companies have learned from Reddit. Reddit has shown that the backlash to censorship is only minor once you have a group of power-hungry moderators controlling the flow of information.
Yo, bro, can
because
you...
in 2019, a $3 million funding round led by Tencent brought Reddit's valuation to $3 billion.
What bone meal farm?
Almost double Reddit's valuation just 2 years beforehand. And in 2021,
Once I'm done
Reddit's
enchanting my
valuation
stuff,
is
I
now
will.
at $6
I just don't feel like playing
billion.
Minecraft right
But
now.
the worst part of all is that Reddit moderators could have stopped this. They were the only people who had the power to do this. They could have shown that social media companies can't get away with the erosion of free speech. Reddit moderators showed that they had this power
No, I'm
to
not playing
change Reddit in
Minecraft.
2015. In July of 2015, Reddit began experiencing a series of blackouts as moderators set popular subreddit communities to private. This was done in protest of the recent firing of Victoria Taylor. This Reddit moderator blackout ended up being highly successful and was one of the main reasons why Ellen Pao stepped down as CEO. So if moderators could do it back then, why not now? Well, because it doesn't fit into their tribe. It
They're
goes
not
against the
making money
grain
if
of
they
their
don't do it.
ideology. They don't want to be labeled controversial or conservative or lose any of that lucrative money shilling products from Reddit grants them. Instead, the moderators of Reddit are compliant to censor anti-China posts in exchange for power and money.
So should
This
I make an
model of
anti-China
censorship
post
has
for
made
fun?
Reddit bank. This is why you see censorship everywhere on the internet. It's an incredibly lucrative business practice.
It's
To
Reddit's
receive
fault.
Chinese funding means you could double your company's valuation in a ridiculously short time frame. The only cost this comes with is the fabric of Western civilization.
That's the beauty of America, that you can be different.
Right.
You can be an individual, but now you cannot be an individual. And that's what North Korea did. YouTube is that I talk about women getting sold in China, and those all videos get demonetized because it's somehow doesn't meet the YouTube guideline.
Yeah.
And they letting North Korean regime have their propaganda channel on YouTube. So they give a platform to dictatorship.
What the
But they do not
heck?
want to give a
Did this video
platform
get
to the people
demonetized?
who is fighting this human
My
rights
video is gonna
justice
get
fight.
demonetized.
Reddit has been at the core of this censoring trend. Reddit has shown how easy it is to get moderators to do the dirty work. Reddit has shown how easy it is for users to accept censorship by controlling the narrative. Reddit has shown that free speech is no longer a right. This precedent in censorship has given the go-ahead for all the other tech giants to censor. And people passively accept this because when all dissent is silenced, you feel alienated, as if your voice doesn't have any support, because you never see and connect with all those who don't want to see the erosion of a free and open internet. And Reddit moderators could have acted as the final buffer. They could have been the final force to stop the censoring trend. But instead, they turn their back on free speech and the country for greed and power. This behavior is anti-Western to the core. Throughout history, the default style of governance has always been dictatorship, and to be in power, you have to be ruthless. Losers. You have to punish your enemies in the public eye. You have to censor speech that doesn't go along with the government projection. Every king and emperor did the same thing until the United States. The United States, a country which understood the importance of freedom of speech. The founding fathers knew this because they understood human nature. They understand what had happened in the past when free speech was stifled. They knew the dangers of censoring. But now we see the people who are willing to give all of that up for power and greed. This is what makes the fall of Reddit so frustrating. Reddit had the potential to be one of the greatest social media platforms of all time. Reddit had the power to change the way we look at society. Reddit could have opened so many doors for interesting discussion.
Why don't we just make a platform that has freedom of speech?
It could have opened the door for so many others who didn't fit inside the mold of mainstream culture. But instead, Reddit turned
not care about advertisement or money,
simply
just like
because Reddit let go of its founding core free speech. And now a decade later, after Aaron Swartz's death, and it's as though Aaron's work never existed. Reddit was the only social media site that could have actually paved the way for a free and open internet. Moderators could have held Reddit admins accountable to the community and the principles of free speech.
There does need to be,
and
like,
when you remember that Reddit was a key reason for abolishing the Stop Online Piracy Act, it makes Reddit's demise seem like that much more of a missed opportunity. And in a cruel twist of fate, Reddit's decline into censorship has breathed life into a new era defined by censorship. The media, celebrities, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, all of them have transitioned into adopting Reddit's model of censorship. When Reddit abandoned free speech to start censoring people who didn't fit into the mainstream narrative and government propaganda, it represented the real-world transition into the control
Moderation
of
is needed.
The cogs behind Reddit's censorship needs to be called out.
People need to be held accountable for their actions.
When people put their thumbs on the scale and try to say what you can and can't say, we should fight back, both politically through protest and technologically through online means.
So yeah, it's true. Both the government and private companies can censor stuff. But private companies are a little bit scarier because they have no constitution to answer to. They're not elected, really, right? They don't have constituents or voters. All of the protections we've built up to protect against government tyranny don't exist for corporate tyranny in these privately owned spaces that we live in. You know, I think we first saw this in the 90s with malls, right? As malls became a cool place for kids to hang out, all of these freedoms that we had against the government, we lost in the mall because the mall was a private company that could throw people out for saying the wrong thing, wearing the wrong shirt. Now,
you're ruining my segment. Why are you calling my phone?
Yo, bro.
Gift 100 subs and I'll get on Minecraft.
To the bone meal farm?
Gift 100 subs. And I'll make the bone meal farm tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Are you gifting 100? Whoa! How'd you make your typing colored?
I gifted. What do you mean?
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did, bro.
I can see behind the scenes, buddy.
Facebook has kind of become the mall. It's where everyone hangs out.
Wait.
And so the private company that owns Facebook can tell you, oh, don't use those kinds of words. Don't use those sorts of pictures. Don't talk with those people. All of these constitutional rights that we take for granted are now run by a private company that doesn't have to answer to the Constitution.